We're recording.
Good morning. Today is the November 4th regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. It is 8:31. Before you, you have the agenda for today's minutes. If I could get a motion to approve the agenda, if you're okay with it.
Second.
It's unanimous. And then the minutes from our regular meeting held October 15th, 2024. Have any additions or corrections?
Nope.
If not, if I could get a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's unanimous. Public comments. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments to the Board of Selectmen on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Comments submitted electronically should be sent to the following email address: bosdistribution@newcanaanct.gov. Do I have any comments?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, great. Next item is the Powerhouse Theater project update with Patricia Spagani. Good morning. Yes, please. And if you could turn the microphone on. Either one, doesn't matter. Maybe just one. Yeah, it's hard. There we go.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to come and give an update on the Powerhouse Theater and where we're at. I wanted to do three things this morning. So again, I'm Patricia Spagani, the current co-president of Town Players of New Canaan, and appreciate the opportunity. What I wanted to do was give you an update on three things. One, where we are overall on the Powerhouse Theater as Town Players of New Canaan as an organization. And it's been probably 16, 18 months since we've addressed the Board of Selectmen. So I wanted to give you that update. And then, as you know, we have a capital project in plan, and I wanted to give you an update on that and where we are with the funding and next steps. I'm happy to answer any questions. So when we're very happy to continue to be thriving as a community theater. We have over 4,500 residents and community members attending the theater project or the theater performances. We're busy at the theater with entertainment almost a little bit more than half of the year in terms of weekends, which is pretty significant. So we're very busy. We're doing 6 major shows every year, as you know. Some of you've been able to attend, which is great. We're doing some
of us have been in your shows.
And participating. Yes. That's the capital C in community. Absolutely. So we've had a good time. This past summer, we actually brought a playwright festival to the theater in August, and that brought people from Montana, Nevada, Rhode Island, many of whom contributed to the local economy. So we've been doing a lot of things. We had the Summer Kids program again this past year, which we'll plan to repeat coming up in partnership with Open Arts Alliance out of Greenwich. That's been really good. With that, we've offered scholarships to kids in the community to participate. And, so there've been about 150 kids participate in the programs across the year, including some improv classes that we've done. Being part of the community, as you know, has been a real important objective for us. So one of the ways that we do that is by having students and adults volunteer into the theater, including the National Charity League, the Eagle Scouts doing projects. We're doubling down and renewing our partnership establishing a partnership, I should say, with the school system. So the new director of theater arts has agreed that we should be doing more programs together. So we're looking at how we do that. We did a trailer that was at Cinema Lab for Dracula, which was a lot of fun. So we're out there, right? We're doing more things, and we'll continue to host the Christmas side and the sidewalk sale downtown. So it's all good. So I think, we're happy with what we're doing. We can always do more, but I think it's been good for the town, both economically as well as just being there as another venue in town to do culture, but with a capital C. So I think it's working out really well. In terms of the powerhouse campus. As you know, as we've said before, we are bursting at the seams. We can't do everything that we want to do as a community theater and that we think the community also wants us to do. One of the things we've seen is when last year we did our Christmas show, A Christmas Story, which was very well received, and that brought more families into the theater. And with that feedback that said we need to do more with kids in our community. And we're limited in terms of space in order to do that, which means that it reinforced the goal that we had of establishing a new education center on the campus. And that was really important to us. So I'd just like to put a summary together of the timeline of how we got to where we are at. But I think that's the really key thing is, you know, the town wants to and needs to adhere to the ADA requirements as a public building. We want to expand our education programs, and together we want to improve the experience for everybody who visits that part of the park. It's really the last piece of the park that's not fully developed as a welcoming space, I would say. So I think we've got a good team in place from a design and architecture and structural engineering perspective to assess what the optimal use is of that part of the park and the campus. And those plans are the ones that have been updated. So where we are at from a financial perspective, we collectively, between the town's contribution and what we've raised from the community, both from foundations as well as our own fundraising, is up to just over $1.5 million. And that includes the town's contribution as well as ours. I will say before we go into the details of the financials, what I've attempted to do in this update is provide a holistic view of the campus. So in the past, what we've done is presented just the theater's aspect of the financials, which I think has been maybe confusing and perhaps, I wouldn't say misleading, but confusing in terms of representing to the town the total cost of the project. So as Tiger and I have had a great partnership here, we wanted to make sure that we tried to represent that totality as we understand it. So when I look at on page 4, what's changed since we last met formally, I think, you know, there's been a lot of informal conversations across town, but formally in terms of what we're presenting to the town is that we, as you know, have worked with a theater design consulting firm that's based in Norwalk, Theater Projects. They are globally known as one of the leading professional theater designers. Their head designer happens to live in New Canaan and was very happy to participate with us in helping guide us through this process. So the key thing there is we had originally proposed that the potting shed on the corner of the campus be used as a black box theater and be the basis for the education center. With their recommendation, and we believe this is a much better solution, is that we would convert the current storage annex into that space. It's larger, it's better situated on the property, and it gives us more flexibility in terms of what we do. And that in turn means that the potting shed would become the new office for the town players of New Canaan. The other idea that came up out of that review is that we would propose to extend the floor or ceiling, depending upon how you look at it, in the current lobby, so that we would extend and create new storage adjacent to our current dressing rooms. And we think that'll help make up some of the space that we would lose for storage. So we think that that is a much better overall design. And with that, the landscaping and site work is being designed around that usage of the buildings. So the good news is we've raised more money than we thought we originally needed. The bad news is that when we look at the costs, as we started to get some preliminary costs from different contractors, is that it looks like the total project, and again, this is representative of the whole campus, including the town's portion, if you will, the public space, puts the whole cost at probably more than 2.9 million. So then we can look into what the numbers mean. But before we talk about the numbers, there any questions on the use of the theater or the design usage? Questions or comments? No. Okay, thank you.
Patricia, in terms of your redesign, I know that you talked about like a second floor in a glass, looking out to the, is it to the,
Right, so you're talking about the storage annex being converted into an education center.
Right,
And
so-
then the-
right, so that's where the education center, that's not
Yes.
just, okay. And how many, do you know your new proposal?
Yes,
What's the difference? Are you upping the square footage you're proposing by a significant amount?
no,
or-
we're not changing the square footage of any of the buildings. The footprint would be identical. The only thing that would be different is that we're proposing that we put a deck
That's what I'm
that's
talking
off
about.
the back of the storage, what's now the storage annex. So that would be off of the back of the education center so that it would be overlooking Anderson Pond and the sledding hill.
Great.
And it wouldn't be probably more than 10 feet. So it's not going to be a huge deck. And it would be contained within the strip of land there that's where the stone wall is off the back of the building.
Okay.
Okay, so if I go to page 5, then this shows in outline the portions of the campus that are represented by the town's work to support the ADA requirements overall and the components that are representative of the theater. And the key thing here is, so this does, Amy, reflect your question about the Theater Arts Education Center with a deck off the back. If you look at the pink area there in the middle of the picture. The other thing that we're doing, and we've had a preliminary conversation, a site visit by the fire marshal, is that we would plan during construction to continue to use the theater so that we wouldn't lose that opportunity to stay involved with the community and provide the entertainment. And we'd use the existing side entrance that's facing the carriage barn to do that. And then we'd work with any contractor so that when they tidy up for the weekend, we'd still have access as a second emergency egress through the courtyard.
Tricia, with the office potting shed being converted to the office, I see, sort of the ADA requirements that the town needs to do to this, but there's also a piece that's on you.
Yes,
What is sort of the
bifurcation between the two efforts. So as I understand it, and Tiger, you can correct me, but as I understand it, the town has responsibility to provide a solid building. So everything on the outside. So, watertight building, a roof, doors, windows, floor, and
HVAC, right?
Pardon?
HVAC and electricity? Is that on us?
electricity. It's kind of negotiating to make sure we get the power to the building, and then we'll finish off the walls and the floor if we want storage inside.
I'm sorry. So the HVAC is on who? Us or you?
I would like to think that a
Sarah, you wanna come
working
up?
building, that it's town's responsibility, but it depends what you all consider that to be. So if the intended use is to be storage, then would you put HVAC in the building? Maybe not, but it depends how that's interpreted.
So our feeling was that as Patricia mentioned, that we should be, the exterior of the building was ours. Now my feeling was the interior of the building was theirs. It's a new application. It's a new building. It was storage. So for us, it's just a building.
Mhm.
They want to put their
Mhm.
offices inside, then that's something that, we can certainly run electricity to it. It might have been a thing that we should do
lights.
anyways, just to have lights in the area. But as far as the other amenities on the inside, we give them a box, they fill the box.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So unless there's any other questions on that, I'm just going to go forward. So on page 6, from the theater perspective, I've laid out the major components along with the estimated costs for each of those components. So you can see how that breaks out. So the lobby itself, that portion of it is about 1.6 million. We're pretty comfortable with that estimate based on some of the contractors that have already provided some preliminary costs. There's still some unknowns, but that's our current estimate. We're also have allocated a specific amount of money out of our funds raised for the inside of the potting shed and that renovation work. And we plan to, as I mentioned earlier, extend the floor in the lobby for storage. So all in for that, we're just a little over 2.6 million. And we estimate $1 million all in for the education center. We could probably make it a functional room for less money, probably 600,000. And if we're that far along in our fundraising, and then outfit it for theater as we go along, but we could still make it a functional education room, maybe not performance space, for less than $1 million. But from a fundraising perspective, that's what we're after. So if I look at the town portion, which is on page 7, these are the other components, which will get to ADA requirements, as I understand it, along with the amount of funds that were currently allocated by the town.
So I thought we had, is this just because it's a different piece? These are specifically allocated to this piece.
Correct.
And there's other allocations that we have for different pieces. Okay.
Correct.
Because this number doesn't tie to what I know we've.
Yeah, I think the other 250, correct me if I'm wrong, Tara, is for the, 200 for the public restrooms, not the ones that you access just.
No, that's in here. On this sheet, that's the
Page 7.
the potting shed and the restrooms were all 250 combined.
Okay.
Maybe,
Two other,
you know what, Tiger, it'd probably be just helpful if we step back 1 second and talk about all the allocations that we've made, so we understand.
it's good, yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, it's just kind of,
Perfect.
yeah, exactly. It's a good point. So
And
there-
it might help you, I'm sorry to interrupt you. On
Yeah.
page 9 is what I understood the allocations were. That's helpful.
there you go. Yeah, that's perfect.
Right?
So if you look on page
we go.
9,
Yep.
we had original allocation back in 2018, 2019
there.
for $125,000. It kind of started the ball rolling as far as we needed compliant bathrooms inside the theater. That became problems with just office space and just the allocation use of the lobby things, and then it spilled into this larger project. And then the town gave $250,000 budgeted monies for the lobby expansion, and then $250,000 from ARPA for the lobby expansion, and then $250,000 for the bathrooms and the potting shed.
Yeah, that's what I
The
was
roof of
talking
the
about,
potting
too.
shed and the exterior of the potting shed. So there were 3 250s. That was kept confusing everyone at the time. 3 250s, 2 to the powerhouse, in essence, to the powerhouse lobby project, 1 to the bathrooms and the potting shed. 750 overall, and then combined with the 125 that we had prior for the bathrooms inside the theater.
And Patricia, I think at the time when we first looked at this, I think the all-in cost of everything was about 1.5, 1.6, I think, in the lobby extension.
For the lobby, without considering the annex work, for just the lobby and the bathrooms, it was about 1.1. Right. So our target for fundraising target was 1.1 at the time. And now we're at 1.5.
Page 8.
Mhm.
If you go back to page 8, you can
Mhm.
see what January 23, the estimate was about
Right.
1.1. And now when you add in the as she mentions it, when you add in the additional work, we're 1.6.
So, but that doesn't,
Well, it's a revised estimate for what's happening based
but
upon
that
the
doesn't get us
project.
to the 2.6.
This just gets us to not with the
Does not include the storage annex.
correct,
The
the annex.
education center.
this is just as
I just want to get the walk.
sure.
1.1 plus the 875 that was allocated at the beginning, the 3 250s plus the 125. Right?
I think the 1.1 includes.
The-
The 875.
Dates.
Not the 875, 625. 250 was separate from this because it was for the,
The 250s and the 125 were in the original.
right,
So
so it's
then-
basically a split, half and half.
The lobby expansion, the 250 for the lobby expansion is the additional. We put ARPA funds, was the ARPA fund the additional 250?
It
Yeah.
was,
Added after the 625?
The other 250 was for the potting shed and the
Public.
public
So
bathrooms.
the ARPA and public bathroom, okay.
Right,
so
that
the
was,
bottom
that's,
one.
you gotta
Okay.
consider that almost separate.
Because I think initially the thought was
The
take
dates
the
are
potting,
earlier, but the.
take the potting shed and put the bathrooms there. And then there was a rethink of that to the black box theater and then moving the public bathrooms in an adjacent new building attached to, I mean, it's all kind of,
Yeah, at one point we
Fleshing.
were trying to carve out the public bathroom and say, okay, let's get that done because that has really nothing to do with,
it's not
Yeah.
done yet.
well, I mean, it was all part of this.
Yeah.
It's all part of the campus, and then with the thought of redoing the annex, since the annex now would be in between the lobby and the proposed bathrooms. Now it becomes a point where it's almost better to do it all in one piece, because you're actually running the services through the annex to get to the new bathroom, setup. So in essence, you'd be cutting the floor and then coming back in again to redo the work, trying to build a structure now in between two structures. So the thought was to do it holistically as one campus.
Disturb it all at
But
once.
to Amy's point, it's been being fleshed out
Yeah.
as
It keeps
we go.
changing, kind of as they look into it. It keeps like, maybe this is a higher and better use or more.
right.
Well, just,
And that-
looking at the original, if you go all the way back to the original design and then you look at this design and the way the education center ties in with the deck and where it's located in the building and having an office out there, I mean, when you have a chance to have time and you have a chance to look at things, you get a better result. And I think, the design is definitely better than where we started. So
I think what we saw is that things were happening piecemeal because we kept trying to back things into the bathrooms.
Yeah.
And we all took a step back, and Tiger and, others from the town participated in the planning meetings that we had. And that's when I said, we haven't formally come back and said, well, here's where we're at. So we wanted to do that because we do think this is a really good, solid design and it's going to do a few things. It's going to, again, complete that part of the campus consistent with what has been going on with the Rose Garden and the house and everything. So we're going to have a really nice campus for everybody that comes to the park. It also allows us as a community theater to have a business model that gives us sustainability for the long term for the community. Because, in the black and white, when you look at the numbers, when you have classes, and although we'll be affordable and, we'll be able to be inclusive for everyone, it actually creates a little bit more income to allow us to do more. So in the overall, planning, it creates that environment for us to be able to move forward, which I think is really important.
What's jumping out at me in like the big delta here is the $1 million for the education center, right? That wasn't in before, right?
It wasn't.
No. So that it's a major change in scope for building use and potentially programming for you guys. So, we were at like 1.2 all in initially. Now it's pushing 3. And $1 million of that is for the education center.
Right.
So, that's a big change and a big jump. And right now, I know you do some educational stuff, but this is assuming that you grow an educational program.
And we believe the demand is there based on the families that have come in, participated more recently in the theater and the programs that we've had in the summer. So we believe we could do things year round. And it's also based on the conversations we had with the new director at the school system, right? K through 12, Laura Newell. So we think the demand is there, and just by what we've seen, and also from the programs that we're turning away when people come and say, can we do at the theater, that we're not able to accommodate.
But so I do know that you mentioned that you are doing some programs and maybe they're practicing over at Latham or stuff like that. Is there some way that you can kind of, move forward with expanding education, which of course, programmatically, that all depends on who's in your board over a long period of time, and the volunteer work and enthusiasm to keep that going in the future. And I'm just saying, is there some way that you can accomplish that, but use existing town resources, maybe not as convenient, but if it's helpful, and then not have to spend another $1 million for this expanded component? I'm just thinking, it's a lot of money. It's a big increase in the scope of what originally was presented, and therefore the cost. And I know the ask for the town is big.
Right.
So-
In the short term, I think it would be worth, exploring the opportunity to use, say, Lapham,
Mhm.
and it would be after school or in the evenings. What we don't get from that is a performance space, an alternate performance space. And from a educational opportunity, we don't get the hands-on experience with the technology, whether it be sound, lighting, broadcasting that we're planning to do, right? That's what we've got spec'd out in that $1 million. What I do see that we could do is, like I mentioned earlier, that we could do the structure of the annex without outfitting with the technology and make that a phase 2, because we talked about what would be a reasonable phased approach, and that would be a reasonable phased approach, that we make that building of the annex a tighter building, because when it was done 40 years ago, it was done with a lot of local help, so it was 2x4 walls. So those of you that understand building a tall 2-story structure, it's not really in great shape. So if we have the opportunity now to rebuild that building, which is what we talked about as a good alternative, then we can make that a solid structure, do the plumbing work that would be the ideal way to do it underneath that building, get the floor where it needs to be done, and then outfit it over time. And that would give us, the ability to grow. And I'll just remind the board that we do have a grant request to the state that we're hoping to hear back from here at the end of the year for $500,000, which would help us close that gap as well.
I think, as I look at sort of the allocation of funds, right now, the town's percentage went up significantly. We're over 60% of the project as proposed. And Town Players is only 26% of the project. So I think as we have these like great ideas in the community, we've sort of said, I think it's a great model, but it puts more onus on Town Players to sort of say, if you want this additional ask, and I see another 100 coming in based on the revised forecast, I would like to see, if it truly is something that the community wants. We have a very generous community, and I would like to see a bigger participation by Town Players in anything that, if we're going to expand the scope. So that's just kind of how I feel about these kind of projects that are, amazing, but also sort of nice to haves in sort of a very difficult financial time. So that would be my only comment back to you before budget cycle, as you're sort of sharpening your pencils and figuring out how to make this ask during the budget cycle.
Okay.
The grant before budget cycle, right? You'll know whether
I
you got
hope
it.
so.
No, but that's a $500,000 delta. That's huge.
It does.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
No, and I appreciate that feedback. And this is one of the challenges of representing the financial aspect of the project as one holistic project
Mhm.
versus just the theater portion. Because when we look at just the theater portion, then our contribution is more equal. When you look at the whole campus,
Right.
then the percentage representation is different, but that reflects the town's investment in the park versus the theater. So it's,
Well,
Ex-
We've done the
except-
same thing with the athletic foundation.
Except the $1 million ad for the additional theater space, that's 100% theater. That is expanding the scope. That's just not fixing what we have. And, you know, again, we always have to be worried, cognizant of the fact that when we do these capital improvements, money all will come in for the initial stuff. Money never comes in for maintenance, and we are expanding what we need to maintain. Not that we've maintained the potting shed very well, but so it's just, you know, that's a, you know, a future contingent liability for the town.
but that's why we want to improve the annex, because we know as a building, the maintenance on that could be an issue at some point because it has been 40 years. So this is kind of getting ahead of the game and saying, let's not make it a maintenance issue. Let's put the building to good use.
No, it's a beautiful plan.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah, the
have to
plan's
say,
amazing.
you know, I think it's vastly improved moving the office into the potting shed and being more strategic with the vision of the property. It's just as we've discussed, it's a matter of where in the order of priorities in town can we put this? And I would imagine the more that town players can contribute, the better.
And we're definitely continuing our fundraising efforts
Yeah.
for sure. So, but I appreciate the opportunity to come back. As you know, we're presenting to the Board of Finance and the Town Council, and then, you know, we'll continue our fundraising and then reassess, but I appreciate the opportunity to come forward formally in the budget cycle with the
Well, thank you
request.
for all you guys do for the
Yeah.
community. I mean, you know, all the shows and our, you know, new theater star on the board and.
We have auditions tonight for the next show. We need
That was a
some
one and
men
done.
on
That was a
stage.
one and done appearance.
You're coming before we get into the frenzy of the budget cycle.
Yeah.
It's able, you can discuss it more with people and all the boards have a little more time to digest it. It's really helpful.
Yeah, they'll give you good feedback too. So it's
I
great.
appreciate that.
Before you go, one question on there's one shot of the before and after, and you know, we mentioned the deck out the back, and I know this is probably an AI. Aren't there trees, and what is behind that building? You see that picture there? It's a beautiful shot, but is that true that you would have that kind of view off that deck?
It is,
Wow.
actually. All I did was I took the model and I put it on top of it's not AI. I took the model, I put it on top of the little fence that's there off the back of the.
Yeah,
hill,
because
and
I
took
mean,
a picture.
that space, I mean, you could see like cocktail parties out there,
Yeah.
fundraisers. I mean, that would be amazing.
I went when Patricia took me on a tour a year ago, and I went up there to look at that view. It is stunning.
Yeah,
It's
wow.
a stunning view.
Yeah, because right now what you see is the back of the building, which
Right.
the back of that building is not too attractive, I would
Right,
say.
right.
So, and you know, there's the stone wall and a
Yeah.
strip of land that's about 15 feet wide,
Hmm.
and that's it.
All right, now all you gotta do is sell $1 million view. There you go.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Canaan Ice Rink, is Jean online or is someone else online? Or is someone here?
Jean is online.
All right, Jean,
Good morning.
online.
I guess I can just get right into it, correct?
Yeah, can we see you or are you gonna be black?
Excuse me?
Can we see your face?
It says the co-host has asked you to start your video. Okay, let's go.
All right.
There we go. Nope, it's not coming on. Let me check something here. See
All
if I
right,
can
there you go.
connect it.
You're there. Jean, you're there.
Okay,
We got you.
good morning.
Good morning.
It'll be very straightforward. No papers required, et cetera. What we're asking to have your approval on is to have 3 Saturdays available for a truck, you know, a food truck to be present at the rink itself, right on the parking lot. The purpose of the presence of the food truck is primarily either for fundraising event or theme nights. Like last year, we did our very first theme night, which was a teen theme night. We co-sponsored that with Joe's Pizza right in town, who provided pizza. And that was specifically for teenagers to come and have time there themselves. As an example, it may not be for that, but again, it's a combination of either theme nights or fundraising events. It would be 3 Saturdays at most. It may not even be 3 Saturdays, but we'd like that flexibility. We don't have specified what Saturdays they would be. Obviously, we're talking about when the rink is in place. They would not be there when we're not there. So it would clearly be early December through late February, and that would be it. And that's very simple, and that's our request, and hopefully you can look favorably on that. Any questions?
Jean, I have one question.
Yes.
Because we're opening up our park to an outside vendor to sell, are you going to be able to take, sort of either a fee or a percentage of sales from that vendor to help the rink?
That's totally unexplored in the concept of that we may pay if it's a fundraiser, as an example, we may pay for the whole thing, offsetting, of course, the income generated from by the rink, for the rink. We're not going to ask the food truck vendor, though, to take a discount and to make a donation. So it would be either paid for by people who, it could be that we get the food truck there and it's available and they pay the money, i.e. the people who attend, or that we subsidize it. We haven't explored that, though. It's a good question. Until we get the specifics of our own fundraising plans and these possible theme nights, we haven't gone into that detail. It would be premature, but it's a great question, but I don't have, that's my answer though, which is sort of a non-answer.
Okay, well, I would just encourage you, because we are opening our parks up to an outside vendor, which we traditionally don't do. And it, when we've had like, sales at Waveney House, when they used to have, craft fairs, a percentage of those sales went back to the organization that had them there. And I think that model, I know that they'll probably push on you and say, we just rent it out. But we're opening up the park. So I would encourage you to push on that. Because I think that there would be people willing to donate something back to the ice rink or give a percentage of sales if they have the opportunity to make a lot of sales.
Well, as I said, they're not there. They're not there just to sell food. They're there to support our own activities. As an example, a fundraiser, we would certainly hope to make thousands of dollars off of that in net profit, if you will, after the cost of a food truck, as an example. On a theme night, we may be subsidizing it or not. I.e., we ourselves operate on an unsustainable, at this year, we're unsustainable. We're still in our startup stages. So we're losing money every time we sell a ticket. We're not bringing in a net profit, so to speak. So from that perspective, in some cases, we would be there and they would not give a net to us in terms of the financials, but they would give a net to us in terms of participation, enhanced ticket sales, recognition, etc.
I see what you're saying.
Hey, Gene, just refresh our memories again, and this has been through Park and Rec. They approved the three
Yes.
dates.
No, but because it's not generally, I could get that, I guess, but the Park and Rec, I don't think generally approves that. They say we go to the town on that.
But they're supportive of the idea of having 3 nights with food truck.
Come on.
Yes. But no official vote has been taken at it. And my understanding is that that this is a straight town affair, i.e. the approval of having a.
Well, yeah, the overall approval is, but the concept, I think, is really what we're asking about. I mean, it's the Park and Rec usually has this brought up at their meetings. I just want to make sure that they're aware of it. That's all.
It's not been officially brought up, and I could certainly ask for your approval contingent upon that.
John is here, and so we just brought him up to the table. John.
The food trucks haven't been discussed. Park and Rec did approve the ice rink in the park at a special meeting last Monday. But there was no discussion about the food trucks because
Correct.
that's really your purview here.
And Gene, one more question, because you mentioned Joe's Pizza before. I know these food trucks, there's not a lot of locally owned food trucks, but if there were a connection locally to a food truck, I would I would love to see us keep it local if we can. That's, you know,
Well, I think we would concur. Sometimes theme nights require different types of food trucks, but certainly if there was a local vendor, they would have a preference to us.
thank you.
All right.
I think it could make for, high use and some excitement there. I would like that Park and Recs thinks it's a good idea too. I just think that's why we have them,
Yeah, I think they did go through Parks and Recs to get the approval for actually having
Yep,
the rink.
mhm.
All the sales in the park, as John said, comes
Come
through
through
us
us.
and not through. So anyway, okay. All right, any other questions?
Nope.
All right,
I
if
didn't
not,
real- I didn't realize it was just 3 nights. I was picturing
Yeah.
like every Friday
Right.
and Saturday night.
Yeah.
right.
This is-
Fine.
Yeah.
No,
Could be fun.
Yeah.
Could be fun.
All right, so if I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Ice Rink Committee to allow food trucks at the New Canaan Ice Rink on up to 3 nights. I'm making that addition to the agenda, just so everybody knows. Up to 3 Saturdays.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gene.
well, and thank you.
Hope it's cold this year.
We're hoping, the weather's a little scary for an ice rink. Okay, thank you
All
though.
right. Take care, Jean. Thank you for all your work on the rink.
Appreciate it.
All right, Windstone storm blower, Ryan and John.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On behalf of the New Canaan Parks Department, I am here seeking approval to enter into contracts with SSR Equipment, Inc. out of Danbury, Connecticut to purchase a Skag windstorm blower. This machine is a ride-on stand-up blower with multi-directional nozzle releasing immense air output. Its power and efficiency has been a labor-saving backbone for us during the fall leaf season. The windstorm is used during all 4 seasons for tasks such as blowing leaves, trails, and athletic fields, both synthetic and natural grass. The windstorm can also be used to blow light snow off of surfaces and walkways. The total amount for this purchase is $10,000, $919.22, and the money is available and budgeted.
I'm assuming this is just a regular gas. It's not an electric.
I actually, you don't have it in front of you, but I printed out a picture of it and
Very
it's stand up, ride on. We have one currently and it's been great for us. Like I said, we use it all 4 seasons, so this is gonna be an additional one.
You
So
are
you can-
correct. It's a gasoline powered
Yes.
machine. Blowers are the one thing that the battery manufacturers are having a real tough time.
Yeah.
You can get like 20 minutes.
No, I get it. I was just asking because, things change. And it's also the one beyond the batteries for, emissions and stuff, they're just quieter. I mean, this stuff is loud. So I hope you guys are wearing ear protection, obviously. When
You
they're
guys
doing
are
it,
all
but-
provided with ear protection. Yes, definitely.
Yes.
It's worse than your worst rock concert you can ever imagine.
So, just, as we move forward this, I mean, there's a lot of things that impact the environment, and noise and light are one of them. So, and I know the technology is not there yet, but, hopefully it will be at some point.
I'm assuming you're just monitoring it and we'll hopefully get there one of these days, but I agree with you. As someone who owns both a gas powered and a
They're
battery
loud.
powered leaf blower, the noise level is different, but the efficiency is significantly
Sure,
different too.
sure, it's coming along. Not there yet.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions?
I mean, I've seen the one we have working. It's amazing. It's a nice piece of equipment and it does a lot of work. And you mentioned blowing sidewalks. I mean, obviously with heavy snow, it's not going to blow, but those lighter snows, how would we use that? Would it be around the schools and buildings or?
Whether it's like there's some difficult areas such as South School, there's a circle, so an area like that, we can use it here if
But it's not really a sidewalk. It won't expand our sidewalk clearing, I guess.
Won't expand it, but places like the train station platforms, if it's a dry snow, which we don't seem to get, but it can be used for it. And we'll use backpack blowers depending on the time of day too.
So can you use this? Is this too big on the way? Because you said the trails. What trails can you use that on?
we use it throughout Waveney Trails, Kiwanis
You can
Trails.
do 'em in there.
Yes.
Okay, great. Cool. That's great. Okay. Any other questions? All right, if not, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Parks Department to enter into a contract with SSR Equipment, Inc. in the amount of $10,919.22 for the purchase of a Skag Windstorm storm blower.
So moved.
It's unanimous.
Useful life on these guys?
We should be able to easily get 15 years. Yeah, it's a heavy duty piece of equipment.
Yeah,
Skag
you just gotta maintain it. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, great. I think you guys are done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks.
All right, the police facility renovations.
Great job.
Good morning. So it's time to buy furniture for the police department, like desks, chairs, tables, shelves, file cabinets, credenzas, benches, right down to the trash cans. So the one thing that just does not include is there's some high density rolling shelving that I'll bring forward in a few weeks. So the process was that the Department of
Sorry,
Public.
Joe, did you say you were going to be coming back for that in a
Yes.
few weeks?
Yep.
Okay.
For some high density. It's those customized rolling storage. So the process was the Department of Public Works and the design team worked with the police department, and we determined the furniture needs. We provided the police with options and estimated costs. We prepared a bid package for the furniture package, and we went out to bid. We received 4 bids back, ranging from $399,300 to $483 and $483,802. And the furniture package, we had a budget of $500,000 for this furniture. And we're at, with the contingency of $20,000 that we're requesting, we'd be at $419,300. So we're under
Shelves you're gonna
budget.
come forward,
Later.
are they, are within that 500K? Is that separate in the software? I forget how that works.
So it's $150,000 worth of other shelving and
Okay.
rolling shelving.
Coming in below budget.
Will come in below budget. Yep. We're right now, if we spent the contingency, we'd still be $80,000 under budget. The reason why I'm asking for,
I thought you said there was a $500,000 budget
there's a $500,000
and
budget.
we are spending 400 now and you're going to come back with 150 of
But
shelves.
it's a different line item.
Oh, it's a different
Yeah,
line
different
item?
line
Okay,
item.
sorry. It's like my math. I think I still can add, but
Yeah, we have 650 total for
Okay.
for the
all right.
for the two
Okay.
items.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, in the bids, because it's almost $90,000 differential. Same equipment? Are we getting different desks? I mean, just in terms of,
So that's a good question. So in order to competitively bid this, we needed to leave it open to different vendors. So they're not all exactly the same. There's a basis of design, and then the vendors would come forward with a basis of design with that they feel is an equal. So there are some equal items in this particular package, and we'll go through that in the shop drawing process and just make sure if there's anything that the design team doesn't like and we need to change, we can change it.
we'll know exactly. This is the desk, this is the chair.
We'll know exactly
specific.
what it is. There'll be a full submittal package where we'll see details on every single piece of furniture. So we have another bite at the apple if we need to tweak anything.
And so that's the need for the 20,000 in contingency, because I was like, why, we already bid out what we want. Why do we need 20,000?
Yeah, just in case, for instance, like there's a conference room table, which I know that the architect was like, well, it's not, I don't know if I like that one as much. So we'd look at that one and say, is there value in buying a different table? Does it work better for our needs? And it might cost a few dollars more. The bids are all itemized, so we know exactly what we're paying for every single item. And there's also the opportunity to buy things off of state contract pricing, so we're fully transparent on the
So you
numbers.
don't have to buy the conference room table from Stanford office. You can pull it out of what you bid out and then go somewhere else to buy just the conference room table?
We could do that, but the intent would be that we'd work with Stanford Office Furniture to get one that we believe is the appropriate one and is an equal. Yes.
And you guys have had hands-on, you know, opening the drawers and all that stuff. I mean, to know that the quality is there. I mean, $90,000. That's in terms of, you know,
Yeah.
bidding. So
The 20%.
the quality is there to last just as
Yeah, and I think, you know, we're at $399. There's two vendors that were at three, you basically at $440.
Yeah.
So they're similar. And you know, I'm not worried with the spread of that number.
They've been around a long
yeah,
time.
Stanford office. Furnace, but-
Stanford Office Furniture has recently provided furniture for the Board of Education. They did the town hall years ago. So that it was nice to see that they came in a competitively bid situation and were low.
And that's all the floors. We're not going to see, this is basically outfitting the entire new building with.
Yes. I mean, there's, like I said, there's some specialty shelving and some rolling shelving that's just really a specialty contractor. And that'll bring forward its state contract pricing. There's only really two people that do it. So
Great.
All right.
Any other questions?
Yeah, but I like the to the good of 80,000.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. And if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a contract with Stanford Office Furniture in the amount of $399,300 plus a contingency of $20,000 for a total cost of $419,300 in order to provide furniture, fixtures, and equipment as part of the police building project.
So moved.
It's unanimous. Thank you. EV charging fee.
yes. So the Department of Public Works is requesting authorization to charge a fee of 53 cents per kilowatt hour for the town hall EV charging units. This 53 cents per kilowatt hour fee covers the cost of electricity. So we pay 31.3 cents for, we derive that that's how much we pay for electricity per kilowatt hour over at that building. And a parking fee equivalent of $1.25 an hour. I say equivalent because it's calculated based on a charge rate of 7.2 kilowatts per hour divided by $1.25 an hour. So the thought was that people need to charge for at least a couple hours in order to make it efficient, and they can go get lunch or something like that. So why would they get free parking? Because when they could pay $1.25 over there, we just didn't want them to have that as free. So it covers all the costs. And the 2 hours is based on the average EV can charge at a rate of basically like 7.2 kilowatt hours. That basically gets you 20 to 30 miles. And I think if there's any better information, you could surely share that, but 20 to 30 miles per hour of charge. So if you have range anxiety and you want to come to New Canaan to go out to lunch, you get basically 40 to 60 miles when you charge for the 2 hours. Let me see, is there anything else? The town vehicles will continue to charge at these stations. So there'll be an app. The app is one that is being used currently at Carl Chevrolet and also at the YMCA. So people in town are familiar with the app. It's Amp Up. I'm not asking for approval today. It's a contract under 10,000, but there's a basic service plan that's $250 per year per unit. And then there's a pro plan, which is $100 more, but it allows for surge pricing. And the surge pricing, it has a lot more features. So you can, after 2 hours, instead of, having people get ticketed, you could just basically make the electricity cost twice as much if that's something that was desired, just to keep people from parking there all day and clogging up the town hall parking spaces.
What the chargers at Morse Court, how do those guys work? I mean, if
So-
people getting charged?
Yeah, so those are a smart. Those are not a smart charger. So they basically just put out the power. You go up there and you plug them in. We do get a discounted rate on the electricity over there. So I had to figure out exactly, if you guys
Charge
do
for
want,
free over there?
you do charge for free. Well, for the cost of the parking
Eversource gives
spot.
us money back. right? That's the one I mean, because I've asked this multiple
Mhm.
times.
Yeah, fair.
Do we not get the full value of what we put out there? Or is the town not getting?
Well,
are we
there's a
actually-
sub meter, so we just get a credit back, basically.
I understand we get a credit. I'm saying,
Does it cover
does it
everything?
cover what they've been charging at?
Yeah, I believe so.
We know
I'll
so.
verify that, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So if you did want to charge, for that one, you could, it would just be, you would charge at the unit, you would just pay a premium for the parking space. Because again, the charger also almost charges at like 7.2 cents. So we know it's like, $3 an hour for the cost plus whatever parking would be.
So like if you have an EV and you are plugging in at Morse Court, they say you don't want to charge anymore, can they hog up the parking spot so that somebody else who wants an EV spot doesn't have it? I mean, because I just know, like with my car, if you go and you're done charging, you get crushed on a minute. You have to pay a fortune if you're
Yeah.
not charging.
Yeah.
So
So too, so you'd get a
Right.
ticket.
are they metered as well, those
Well,
spaces?
yeah, I mean, all the spaces in Morse Court are.
Yeah, I just
are-
want to make sure the EV
Yeah.
ones are metered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
They are metered.
They are.
But I
There-
asked Joe to look into the surge pricing because we're having a problem with people when there aren't town vehicles in those lots.
People come
Charging
and park,
there
yeah, and
for-
just leave them there.
Yeah, and
Well, I will say that this we have experience with this app and it's amazing. I mean, you can literally target different groups to, like, town employees can be free, and then you could have, residents have a fee, and then out of town residents. I mean, you can really target who gets charged what. So it's a pretty good way of customizing, and it really works well. And it keeps those spaces moving. That's the whole point.
That's
is
it. You gotta keep moving.
You gotta get people in and out. But the reason those Morse Court chargers went in originally was to try to get people from out of town who are shopping in town to come. Anybody in town that has an EV is going to charge it at home, and
Yep.
they'll have everybody's pretty much charged up if they're
you'd
doing.
think,
Yeah, you'd think.
you'd think.
Plan ahead. But
People who have EVs, you have range anxiety, so you charge at home. You
most
just
people,
do.
most people
Most
do. Now,
do.
Yeah.
now if you
Well, and we
forget,
can't plan for people not being smart about that. You know? But I do.
We know it happens, then we can
Yeah,
plan for it.
But I do know people from out of town, like I know someone's sister comes up from New Jersey, drives their EV,
and
and they like to be able to charge. So I just don't think people should charge for free. I mean, we're not in the experimental stage of EVs anymore. You should pay for it. And B, it's again, keeping them moving. Like, so in the town, do we have issues with people who are not, it's not town vehicles, that are town vehicles have not been able to charge because charging stations have been full with a non, I mean, has that been ever an issue for us, that our town cars? can't charge?
Our own vehicles, our own fleet vehicles? No, it's not an issue. I mean, we basically just need a few hours in front of the charger every couple weeks. We don't drive that many miles.
Okay.
The EVs are perfect for what we use them for, 2 miles at a time.
Right. The majority of our trips are very short, long duration, very short trip. So you go to a site, you do a site evaluation, you come back 2 miles there,
Yeah.
you're there for an hour, 2 miles back. So an EV is perfect for what our use is. The internal combustion engine doesn't like to be started and stopped, and then, that was rotting itself. So it works out perfect, but we just don't need to charge as much.
Alright, so then we can make it available,
Right.
which is good.
Yeah.
yeah, and when you consider the maintenance on gas engines and the fuel that we were using in town to run around all these short distances. I mean, I think about the big old LTDs that we used to have, the old cars that used to zoom around here a couple miles at a time. It's amazing the difference in terms of the cost of running that stuff. It's a good savings. So
Okay, so we will look at the
Morse
added.
Court.
No, well, yes, look at Morse Court for sure, because I just want to make sure but on this particular, request, we're going to go for the higher level, the one that gives us the flexibility to
Mhm.
give us the surge pricing after 2 hours, correct?
Yes. So I'll bring that forward. I have a quote. It's the $350 a year per unit.
Yeah, and then we can just look at it after next year and see if it pays it for itself. But if it doesn't, then we should,
Yeah.
reevaluate. But I think
It's
to
a
start-
little number, so
Yeah.
we should
Yeah.
It's
we'll
worth
see-
it, you know,
yeah,
to do. Yeah.
to check it out.
It's very flexible. You can change the hours. You can do like off peak. You can make it cheaper. You can make it more expensive. There's a lot of flexibility.
That's great.
Should we set the surge pricing now too? Seeing it's I don't know if that's technically a fee.
Oh, okay.
Um,
We want it
should
to
we
be
double
big
it?
because I want people to move after 2 hours. I mean, I don't know about you, but,
Yes.
so I think it should be a heavy fee, not just, I think you should, $10 or something,
Is it,
get them out.
Yeah, we should study what the norm is.
Yeah.
Like what are high use towns, that do this? Like,
Yeah,
how-
maybe we should come back and,
yeah.
because we don't really know. We don't have anything.
I do know if you're at a supercharger for a Tesla and you're done charging, it's $1 a minute.
Wow.
A minute. Wow.
Elon, no wonder Elon has all that money.
Well, it kind of makes sense because, you're
Hold on.
done. You don't get, don't, and,
$1 a
people need
minute.
the spots.
Wow.
What'd you say?
$1 a minute?
Yeah, that's pretty,
Yikes.
that'll get you out of
It'd be
there.
amazing at how quickly they charge, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, these
It's a little
don't
different.
charge like that. Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
All
I think
right.
you almost look at it compared to how long it takes you to charge versus, the supercharger charge right away,
Mm. Yeah.
and then make your.
Yeah. Versus getting 15 miles an hour or 20 miles. An hour.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's just maybe ask some of the other, any other surrounding towns, sort of just so
Yeah.
we have an idea. I charge them $10 a minute. No, I'm just kidding. I just want people to move. They're sitting there. Okay, so if there are no further questions, if I could get the approval of a request from the Department of Public Works to impose a fee of 53 cents per kilowatt hour for EV charging in the town hall parking lot and other associated parking fees.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
And Joe, can you just make sure the parking, obviously Stacy and the parking commission gets word of this too? Keep them in the
Yeah,
loop.
so I worked with Stacy and then an email went around to, Stacy, and she's had some input and also finance department as far as collecting the fees and stuff like that.
Thanks, Joe.
And you know what, let's look
There'll be a certain amount of setup once we obviously go through this, but
with sort of the way electricity rates are kind of exploding. If we can, maybe annually look at this, just because our rates are going to obviously change. And so this may be good today, but it may not be good
Yeah,
tomorrow.
you're right. I don't think even annually. You might want to take a look at it every quarter. you know?
Okay.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Why not? If it's,
Yeah.
since you have the
How-
app
how
to
does
switch it
our-
pretty
How
quickly.
often, you guys know, how often does our electricity rates change from the town?
Ours, we're on a long-term rate,
Okay, so for like a year?
5 years.
Okay,
we're
So
on
at the exact same rate?
Yeah,
Okay, so we
Alright, so it's
wouldn't
not
have
necessary,
to,
yeah.
we wouldn't have to do it quarterly. We could do it let's just do it annually, just so we see, it's a good exercise anyway.
or with the rest of the fees.
You guys.
we can make it part of our fee memo.
Yeah.
So,
That'd be
when we come in because we'll be coming back at budget season for that. So we
Okay.
can do it, we get to, in essence, do it then and then every year annually. And if we
Yep.
see something, tweaking one way or another.
Yeah.
Other towns, are changing their pricing, we can come back as well.
Okay. Perfect. That's great. Thank you, Joe. for
Thank
all
you.
the work. Appreciate it. Okay. And did we vote?
We just-
Okay. Just a minute. All right. Train station HVAC project.
All right, thank you. This is a request. We received a proposal from CV Longo for $24,755 for the replacement of the HVAC at the train station, the Elm Street station. Metro North comes through and does an evaluation of all their stations. And this was one of their items to do for us. CV Longo was actually, we bid out the boiler work. They were the low bid on the boiler work. They came in to start doing the boiler work, and there's a little bit of trade-off between the two. And we noticed that a lot of the duct work that was in place while we had the boiler out was in disrepair, and was decaying and rotting, and we needed to replace that, which then spurred the whole thought of, let's just do the entire project in one shot instead of just doing the duct work, putting the boiler back in place, and then coming back for the HVAC, do it all. So we went to CV Longo for a price. They've done excellent work for us in the past. They've worked on these units and worked in this building. They came in at a number of $24,755. We added a contingency of $3,475 for a total of $28,230. The approved budget for train station repairs in the budget itself is $150,000. This is part of that. So there's other work to be done at the train station based upon their 62-page inspection report I think we gave you.
Who did the inspection report?
Metro North comes through. They come through several times, at least once a year and then a couple times annually. We've got them coming back within the next day or two to look at the stations again. So they do everything from structural to the parking lots to anything on the platform, the stations themselves, ADA compliance, things of that nature. And they put together a report, some of which is our responsibility, some of which is the DOT and Metro North's responsibility. This happens since we're charged with maintaining the station is our responsibility.
Remind me what falls under the railroad fund? You know, we had the railroad fund. Is that just the paving and stuff? I mean,
No, that's all of this as
Okay.
well, and to keep the lights on,
Right.
you know, things of that nature. So it's, and then in the past, we were able to then spill some money back over to Highway and Parks for the work that they do, plowing, cutting the grass, blowing the leaves, you know, cleaning
so
the
is this
area.
coming, these funds, is this within the railroad fund paying for this?
This was this $150,000 was a budgeted item, capital item outside of the railroad fund.
So why was that?
Railroad fund, because of COVID, we didn't have enough money.
So there's just not enough money in there right now. So we need to, so
So we had a supplement.
So
money
our
coming
ARPA
back
money
is
could
coming
go.
back. Yeah.
Our ARPA money could go to that,
Very good point.
right?
So Tiger,
So let's talk about that.
this,
Okay.
in the, below, you highlighted the moment, said they estimated that condenser would be 15,000.
Right.
So is this beyond, this is beyond the scope of the condenser?
Yeah, it was beyond it. And actually, when you look at CV Longo's quote itself, they were almost perfect with that, with the fact of the condensing.
The
units, but
all-in
there was
cost.
right at 15,000, but there was some additional work
Mhm.
for to do with the work itself. So his proposal included cleaning of the ducts, cooling coils, freon charges, and replacing the rotted supply air floor boots into the space, which was $5,400 in and of itself. But when you looked at the two units, the condensing units into putting them in, the pricing was $14,200.
Okay,
So
it's in line.
so it was in line with what Metro North was asking. It's just, there was some additional work that needed to be done along
Right.
with it. They just look at it, replace the unit. This is $15,000, not necessarily the ducts work and stuff
Right.
like that associated with it. So that all in price came to the
And
24,755.
how old were those units?
That I'm unaware.
Is when we renovated the station.
I don't know if they got done at that time.
Okay.
Apologize, you know.
And
the-
again, this is the typical freestanding condensers. We don't have heat pumps there. We're not
No.
doing heat pumps.
No, we're not. They're just freestanding units.
Yeah.
We didn't look into that
Yeah,
at that time.
and you know, you see them everywhere. I know they're more efficient. I don't think they're that attractive, but I'm not sure a freestanding condenser is attractive either, but you do have to do that interior.
Oh,
on it.
right.
You know, you have to do the
Yes,
interior up high.
yes,
It's tricky,
yes,
right?
Yes.
It's kind of like the new version of a radiator, I guess,
Yeah.
but it's up high.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
What's the rest of the 125 by? What's the?
I'd have to look back and see exactly what it was. There was some painting, there's some structural repairs, there was things of that nature that were in there.
And I mean, when we do this work, as with any project, we're not going to do this and then find out that we should have done a different order of.
No, no, this actually is working quite in together, if you will. With the with the boiler replacement. It's actually perfect timing for us.
Any other questions?
Great.
Not if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a contract with CV Longo Mechanical in the amount of $24,755 plus a contingency of $3,475 for a total cost of $28,230. The project entails the installation of a new HVAC system and related work at the train station.
Move. Nope.
Second. Yeah.
Whatever.
I was going to.
Amy, well,
yeah,
Steve. Amy,
Steve.
Steve.
But I was going to ask about, because that ARPA idea is so good. I mean, we lost revenue at the train station, and it's the perfect project for ARPA. I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't know whether we should have that in as, I don't know, or definitely have it as a suggestion, but.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and I see the
When we
person.
follow up with
Yeah,
Ann, yeah.
Yeah, we'll follow. Anne's in here. She's heard the conversation. So, okay, and it's unanimous.
Yep.
So thank you. All right, guide rails, Tiger.
So this next was a request from the board to go back, get a secondary quote for the work, proposed work for guide rail replacement at White Oak Shade, the northern sections, White Oak Shade and Gertie's Road from the Merritt Parkway overpass north, which would include the Gertie's Road intersection. There's 3 stretches of guide rail there. At present, they're galvanized metal beam rail. And you asked us to get a quote for Core 10, which is the weathering steel. So we went back to Eagle Fence and Guide Rail for that. They were the low bidder on the previous award. They came in at $70,367.50. I added a 10% contingency just in case we hit rock or a soft shoulder or other work that needs to be done for $7,000 at 10% for a total of $77,367.50. And the funds are currently available in our DPW capital guide rail accounts.
Can you remind us what the savings is doing the?
The other price was $106,417.50, so about $36,000.
I mean, which
between the
gives us
two.
$36,000 to do more guardrails somewhere else.
I just,
Essence, yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because there are
I
others.
just looked, 123 is, I know that's a state road. It's all these.
Yep.
All of 123 is these. So
We got them to replace that first stretch where you come in off of New York State. That was
so
galvanized.
we're
and
doing
we
something
asked them to
nicer
do-
than what is all of 123, which is a main road in town, and it's all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
That's fine.
that darker color will disappear.
yeah,
You're
I
not gonna
agree.
see it. So.
Right. We're trying to, bit like just have a standard set of a couple of materials to work with. So we'd rather stay away from the galvanized metal beam rail. That seems to draw the ire. This does not.
It
And it's
draws the ire and the eye.
striping, the two that come out. But yes, so so in essence, it'll be a nice installation, and one of it has already been struck and needs to be repaired, that one corner right off the bridge itself. So
Okay, great.
Just we talked about the striking thing in terms of the way they hold up. If we're saving $30,000 and a car strikes one or the other, are any of them more likely to hold up in terms of having to replace them? Like, I know the metal is just gonna probably just bend. Would the wood hold up any better?
not necessarily, I
It
can't say.
lasts less long, as he said in his
Yeah.
last. I do hear
I can't
that.
speak for its crash worthiness. I can't speak for how it reacts in a crash, whether it needs to be replaced at that time. The majority of the work at that point is whether or not the posts have been damaged or the posts have been moved. That's really where, the main concern is. We have some that have been struck that you see a dimple, you see a crease, and we leave those. It's when the post actually has a problem that we start to say we need to replace that. So
So if someone hits it and it's their fault, do they have to pay to fix the guardrail?
if we find them,
Right.
yes. So if there's a police report associated with it, then we go back to we get a quote for the repair, and then we go back to their insurance company. A lot of times they're not noticed, but we've had instances where, yes, the car's been damaged to the point where it can't travel. And then, we've gone back, specifically on Wahackney, across from, right down the street from where Chichester comes out.
Yeah, in
That
Greenland.
that Core 10, that weathered steel there,
Yeah.
that got hit, and we had that all replaced, that entire run replaced.
Do we file a report with Kerma when that happens?
Yes, yeah, and Kermit chases it back, subrogation. So Kermit chases it back, gets us the monies back, and then we pay from that.
Okay, but if we don't know and it gets damaged, we don't file with Kerma, we just.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have, like in this instance here, we haven't filed with Kerma.
So what,
No.
can I just ask, like,
It's a valid concern or a valid thought. This is one where, we haven't in this one corner.
Yeah.
Normally it's a $25,000.
well, this is $100,000 or $70,000 to replace, so.
We can come back and see. That's an
Yeah,
excellent
I
point.
just, that's what they're there for. And, I want us to be using, obviously you're right.
That's a great
but
point.
We got money back from Kerma last year, I think $50,000. So, that's why we have insurance. So we should be.
It's fine. The majority of our replacements are just based upon age, not based upon a
Right,
strike.
right.
This one happens to be age and a strike. So
Yep.
we can go back and say,
Yep.
what can we do in this
Yep.
instance on this corner? They might not do the rest of it, but they certainly could take a look at this
Mhm.
corner. We have it broken out by pricing
Okay,
for each run.
Okay.
So we can then say to them that this run costs X, I'll figure out what that is based upon
okay, great.
his numbering, and then we can go from there.
That'd be great.
It's an excellent point. Like I said, normally it's just age.
Yep.
It's not a strike.
On this project, Tyler, is there four? Is there one on each bridge corner? Is that what?
So there are two bridge corners, so, and then across the street, so where Gertie's meets White Oak Shade, that entire frontage has a guide rail on it, and then spanning out from the bridge itself on the northern side, one on the northwest
three.
side, one on the northeast side.
So is this technically though, I mean, okay, again, state road versus
It's not a state road, it's ours.
120, oh, this is?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, White Oak Shade is ours.
That
White Oak,
part, okay.
White Oak and
It
Gertie's.
isn't- It's not 124 of it.
No.
Alright.
Unfortunately, this
Okay,
one's ours.
great. Any other questions? All right, if not, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Work, oops, sorry, wrong one. To enter into a contract with Eagle Fence and Guide Rail in the amount of $70,367.50 plus a contingency of $7,000 for a total cost of $77,367.50. The project entails the installation of new weathered steel guide rails along sections of White Oak Shade and Gertie's.
So moved.
It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, bump outs.
Much. So this next is completion of the bump outs on Elm Street on the northern side, specifically in front of the Playhouse. Peter Lonnie had done the original work up into the Playhouse. We went to them and asked them for a quote. He held his pricing from that, which was in 2022, which was actually holding pricing from 2020, from a project that he had. So he hasn't moved his pricing. The overall cost is $34,950. I added a 10% contingency just to make sure that there wasn't anything that when we start to dig up under the ground, there isn't something that's there, for a total of $38,450. And what this will do is continue the guide rail past the Playhouse, and then it'll come back into our existing rail in between the Playhouse and Soleil. And then we'll have brick sidewalk leading, sorry, all the way from the platform out at that point in time to the sorry, I lost my train of thought, to the granite curbing and a new pedestrian ramp associated with it. So it'll give a nice big large platform area similar to what we have down the street.
You don't have a schematic that you can see, do you?
Yeah, that would help.
I do, but I don't have it in front of me. It's basically a plan view over the top of it, but in essence,
I mean,
if you
we've
just-
seen it.
You've seen it. If you envision Le Pen coming straight out and over in front of the Playhouse, excuse me, that's exactly what it is.
Do you know how many square feet you're adding in terms of, because that'll be used for seating, right? And
Quite possibly, yes, it can be.
Right.
At that point in time, we won't need the barricade bump outs, the planters that we put there this year. We wouldn't need those. The area would be open for seating.
but don't we keep the barriers up there in other places where they're seating to keep the cars from hitting?
Not where we have the bump outs, or where we have where the sidewalk has been bumped out. No, in the areas that we do not have the sidewalk expanded, then yes. So in front of Rosie's and down in that area, Patisserie Salzburg, there isn't a sidewalk that's extended out, but for Elm, Le Pen, that area, it's just they're
Put their
adjacent to
own.
the road. They put
their
a
own.
they put
their
a
own.
yeah, they put a railing around, but
Yeah.
it's not we don't put
Yeah, they
anything
have
out.
pot planters.
I have trouble I'm having trouble
Yeah.
visualizing this.
This is a pretty short run here, right? So this is almost like where the drop off is. So there's the crosswalk
Right.
the 50-yard line, if you will. It's literally, I don't even know how many feet, Tiger. It's not that long.
It's 80 feet.
Yeah.
It's 80 feet, and then so it's about 12 feet wide. So
Times
we're,
80, so, yeah, okay.
Does it stop at the beginning of Blackbird, or that the
it
building?
stops at the transition between the two. So we have it already striped in
And
the area.
there's no parking spaces there anyway, right? Is
There's
there?
no parking there
Yeah.
at present. No, it's directly inside of the 25 feet from both sides of the crosswalk. So you have the 25 feet both sides of the crosswalk and the crosswalk, which was no parking. And then just in front of Blackbird or Soleil, it was that it starts a disabled space at that location, and then it works its way forward. So it's 1,600 square feet, 80 linear feet of granite and 1,600 square feet of brick. And then we have some drainage work that we need to do since the catch basin is interior. Right now, we'd have to bring it exterior, bring it out onto the the revised curb line. So that's the extent.
I have to ask, because I know we did stamped concrete as the walkways on the street, right?
That was, it's actually a asphalt. That's an asphalt. That's
The
a,
red, that made it look like bricks?
yes, it's
Okay.
colorized asphalt throughout.
I want to ask, because I have to deal with all the complaints of the tripping in town. Is there a way if for the new stuff that we do, if it would, can you make it look like it ties in by using a different material than brick? Because I'm not loving this brick right now.
I know you're not loving the brick right now.
I mean, I
It's-
love the look of it. So I have to say, I love the look of it. I don't,
You don't love
it's,
the- don't love the heaving of.
I love the heaving of it.
The
It's, and
crosswalk
it's
on
becoming,
Elm
you know,
Main.
constant.
is brick and not brick. I mean,
Well,
It's-
yeah,
it's
I mean,
challenging.
but this is a
Yeah.
high visibility spot here. So
Yeah.
you'd have to execute that pretty well to be able to have it meet the right way and look the right way. The
Right.
crosswalk is independent, and then you go into the actual sidewalk.
Yeah, that's why I'm just asking the
curb
question. Is there a way to make it look like it's,
it would be a different look because the bricks are knitted together perfectly. When you try to make that joint, you've got to make that joint with a device. So that's why you see the brick in the roadway. There's a definitive joint. You can almost see it. So there would be a difference. We can continue to look and see. And
yeah, it's just like all this expansion of brick, and it's kind of like everything else. This is a very high maintenance material. It's a high maintenance material.
Well-
And I guess Westport did all of their brick sidewalks with stamped concrete, which to me now, looking at what we're having here and the problems we're having, is a much.
Well, it'd be interesting to see like, how does that brick hold, how does the stamped concrete hold up versus the,
Well, you put it in the
it-
major roadway.
yeah, okay, so yeah, you're right. So,
You didn't
so
put it
maybe,
on a
so
walkway, you
maybe,
put it on a
maybe the
roadway.
answer is if we have a stretch of independent
Yeah,
sidewalk that's
yeah.
truly independent where,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
try it and
Yeah.
rather than,
No,
You know,
I
it's-
understand.
it's-
I know tying in, it's just, this is becoming an every week complaint
Yeah.
that I get about these sidewalks. And hence, it becomes an every week that I have to reach out to Tiger complaint. And we just need to find, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It is not functional. It's not super functional. So we need to, I think I'm getting to the point it needs to be raised. that
Do you
we need
wanna-
to figure that out?
do you want to hold on this and think about it a little bit? I mean,
No, because we
to
promised
do it.
this is part of
Okay.
an overall,
it was an overall scheme at
Yeah.
the time that
yeah.
and Tiger, what
that we
about,
put on hold because of the playhouse construction in
Yeah.
essence.
maybe that's the thought, yeah, I'm going on with your, maybe there, since it is such a high maintenance and maybe there are just certain areas where we use it.
Yep.
That is like, we're setting the tone, the look, everything.
Mhm.
Everywhere else, maybe we have to go more utilitarian.
Yeah.
There may be like, okay, so, those
Yeah.
two streets that they are kind of like quintessential New England. That's
Yeah.
how we want it to look. And maybe other places we do something nice.
well,
or
yeah,
It
maybe
but
seems to
not
work
as
in
nice.
Nantucket, nobody complains, and it's worse than it is here, but for some reason here,
well, yeah, when there are areas in town gets a lot of water, a lot of
Yeah,
runoff where,
yeah.
you get freezing and
It's tough,
thawing and
yeah.
that-
well, it's the trees too that
Yeah,
are creating a
yeah.
big problem. They're creating heave in the bricks, and
Yeah, and you want the
so-
trees.
Yeah, no,
That's
we want the
critical, yeah.
trees. So it's just, I don't know if we need to relook at, instead of having, we've talked about this, having them set in concrete as opposed, and it's more expensive, but,
actually, well, yeah.
Next year, we'll be coming forward with the streetscape or the redo of Pine Street.
mhm,
So at that point in time, the thought was to then we could get three prices if you want.
Yeah.
I can get a price for brick, I can get a price for the rat slab underneath the brick, and then you can get a price for stamped.
yeah, that'd be
So then
great.
You can see the three.
Yep.
Now that you bring that forward, we can see the three. And then make a determination. And to Amy's point, that's a kind of a definitive, it's
Yeah.
Right.
pretty much the street, so we can take a look at it at that time and see.
And Tiger, when you bring that forward, and just because I'm visually having trouble reconciling, when you do bring that forward, if you can do the visual so we know exactly what we're talking about. I mean, it's just, I understand the bump up, but I feel like I have to leave here and go to Elm
Yeah.
Street to look at it. So if you're able to show a picture next time.
Oh, and it's striped right now, so you should be able to see at
Yeah.
least where it is.
Yeah, where the distinction,
Sure.
in essence, if you go down to Le Pen and you just carry it forward to the end of the striping, so to the end of the yellow striping, that's the size. of
Yeah.
it.
It's just again, because I'm not,
Right.
you know, it just a visual helps me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
You forget what it looks like.
yeah, and we've been talking about this for a long time, so I
Yes.
mean, we all knew it was coming. The only other question in terms of where the playhouse is, where we came out and there's that step, that lip, is that still gonna?
No,
there's
we're
way
trying to
we
have
can-
that disappear.
Okay, good.
And that's part of the spring,
Yes,
next
because
spring, correct?
That's around on the side, that's correct, but in front.
Part of
we're
that.
looking at
But
having
are
a-
we doing that all at the same time?
We'll be doing the front and then the side we'll be addressing later. We're just trying now, just tie in everything, the pedestrian walkway and the playhouse, the patio in front of the playhouse, all in one piece. As you come around the building into the alley, that we'll have to address later.
And we're not gonna start this on December 1st, are we?
Starting it tomorrow, if you say yes today.
Okay.
We want to be done by December 6th, which is the sidewalks, Christmas stroll.
You
holiday
are gonna be
stroll.
done before the Christmas.
That's what we've told the contractor, that we couldn't start until we're done with the,
I was
Outdoor
joking, by
dining?
the way.
no, we're not. And-
Tiger, if I want to have
Holy cow.
more, this must be done
I
before.
heard that before. So yeah, I've been on the playhouse multiple times. So yes.
I
the
know, but
contractor's aware
no,
of it.
I'm saying, don't start it if you can't finish it. Literally, I mean, I would rather see this get pushed till,
Yeah.
I don't want any,
'Cause it-
like,
and we've had
this is
2
gonna
or 3 years in a
potentially
row.
run into, if it could potentially run over, don't do it until after the sidewalk.
I'll
Don't
have
do
a
it until.
discussion with the contractor this
I'm,
afternoon,
yeah,
and we'll see exactly his.
You know, like for instance, you know, we haven't had rain, right?
Mhm.
So if we ended up getting torrential rain, would they not be able to work during this period?
Torrential rain, normally no, but drizzle, they work through.
Yeah, but we see how rain comes in odd quantities lately.
Well, that's one of the beauties of having somebody local like Peter do this, because
Jump in, yeah.
his team, I've seen his team working at 6 in the morning and 9 at night. I mean, those guys work, so,
Yeah.
you know, they'll get it done, but
Okay.
it's just scary when you talk about this time of the year. The merchants,
yeah, super sensitive.
Yeah. so.
Super sensitive. Okay. And I did hear you say, I just want to reiterate for the public that this project is not taking any parking spaces. This
No,
is-
it's not.
they've already been taken. so.
Addressed, yes.
Okay,
Taken at the time when we changed over and had to by state law.
that was an ADA.
25
It was an
feet on the
ADA
inside.
issue that made us lose those spots.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
this is providing a beautiful terraced area at the 50-yard line of New Canaan. I mean, this is gonna be spectacular what's done, so.
All right. So if there are no further questions, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a contract with Peter Lonnie Inc. in the amount of $34,950 plus a contingency of $3,500 for a total cost of $38,450. The project entails the installation of a pedestrian bump out on the north side of Elm Street in front of the Playhouse.
So moved.
Second,
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saw purchase.
So this next is excuse me, a purchase of a Connect Tech saw. What it is it's in order to allow us to replace our manhole tops, specifically our sewer manhole tops. This relates back to our I&I study, the inflow and infiltration study, of which they determined that we have well over 900 manholes, and the majority of them need to be replaced to stop infiltration, direct water coming in, stormwater coming into our system, and then working down its way down to the plant, and then surging at the plant. One, surging at the plant, and 2, we've got to treat it. Even though it comes in as stormwater, we'd have to treat it at that point. So we went to Tri-County. They're under a Massachusetts state contract for this purchase for this model, this unit, for $38,092. We did add on $2,033 for 2 full sets of replacement teeth for the unit, and then for a total of $40,125. And the monies are available in the I&I capital account budget of the infiltration and.
so it's actually a saw, like a circular.
Saw, what it does, it's a circular saw, so
Drops over.
drops over the manhole. It's got a unit that sits inside the manhole, so nothing drops into the manhole. It'll catch all the debris.
it basically cuts down through the manhole and you lift the top of the manhole, the frame off, and then we can replace the frame and the cover at that
And we have to
time.
do 900 of these
We
replacements?
won't have to do all 900. We have to, a lot of our units, just the cover will have to be done, but we're not necessarily, when we look at it, we'll see whether or not the frame needs to be replaced. We're trying to go to one standard size.
Sure.
Right now, we've got 3 to 4 different manhole sizes, which is crazy to try to stock and then see whether or not you have them. Some are work their way out of existence, meaning they're no longer manufactured. So we're trying to go to one standard manhole cover, one standard size, and then just replace the ones that are needed at present for that are, we're seeing either the frame itself, the cover is not sitting well, not seated well, or drilled with holes so that it's allowing direct inflow, things of that nature. So
And what do these manholes cost, and where are the funds for the actual manholes?
the manholes themselves,
Yeah.
well, if I had to build a new manhole, or you're talking
Well, I mean, there's 900, some of them have to be replaced. So,
right now that that's going to be inside the I&I study. So
Okay.
as we come forward with the next budget cycle, there, AECom is working towards that, giving us a time frame and a schedule.
yeah, so we don't have it in the budget yet, what this is.
We have monies in the budget for this, but
Right.
not for, you know, if it was a wholesale replacement of a manhole or the actual parging or work inside the manhole. No, that would be subsequent funding.
Right, so we'll be seeing this in the next budget.
You'll see it in the next budget cycle. That's correct. They came forward. They gave a very nice presentation to the Board of Finance recently about where we are and what the cost would be. If you'd like them to come here, we can certainly do that. But if you look at that evening, that was a very good discussion with AECom and the WPCA, which is the Board of Finance at the time. But you'll see it in our budget presentation this year before you. There'll be monies requested in that.
I have a question.
Sure.
So with this standard size, are the manholes that you're going to be cutting bigger than the existing? So let's say the manhole's smaller than the existing. I'm assuming the road would need paving and patching work.
There's each one of these, as you replace the top, it'll need to be patched around it, regardless whether or not it's going back as is or the size being changed one way or another, because the cut is a little bit outside the frame itself.
Okay.
So they'll be all patched. They'll all need to be patched. The majority of this work we're looking to perform in-house with our staff.
So what?
So your new roads are gonna get cut up.
That's, I just went right there. I was like, seriously, you're going to be patching our new roads?
Some of them are new roads. Some of them are a little bit older in the cycle. Where we are now is we don't have anything that's very old. But that's one of the reasons for the circular cut. The circular cut is a much better cut and much better and easier to patch. The corners always are the difficult spot on a square patch. So on a circular patch, it's much easier to, one, take out the manhole frame, and then two, patch it in so while you'll see a patch, you necessarily won't feel that patch.
Any of our manholes paved over? You know,
We have some, not many. I know we
define where they
have
are.
one in the Locust Avenue lot, but that one had been prior to, so that we discovered that later. We do not have very many.
Good.
And New York City has a lot, so that's why I asked.
Yes, yeah, we try to make sure we raise everything up, and we had at one point in time, a company used to do this for us with this unit. They retired. There was a set of brothers, they retired, they sold the business to another individual, and the business just didn't continue. But that gentleman was DeSell Construction. He did a fantastic job for us, and we would raise every one of our manholes at the time of paving, specifically like Main Street. There's so many, raise them up to grade at that point in time, pave it, bring them up to grade. And that way the road is set. We bring the manhole up to that grade and we're done. Instead of trying to make the road match the manhole, we make the manhole match the road.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
I never knew there was a manhole saw. Huh?
Who
I
knew?
learned something new every day.
I know.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into town.
If I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a contract with Tri-County Contractor Supply, Inc. in the amount of $40,125 in the purchase of a new Connect Tech Model HS 48 Series 2 saw and replacement teeth. Wow, that's a mouthful.
So moved.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Weather service.
This is, next is a continuation of our weather service with Weather Century DTN. We've been with them for a number of years. Excuse me, and they provide us with our weather data for the year. It's critical for our planning for not only just emergency responses, but everyday weather events for the Parks Department, things of that nature. Some other special events, sporting events. But we have a meteorologist on call. We can email him or call him and he will answer us within 15 to 20 minutes if we know of something coming in, a cell coming in, or we want to have updates as to when we need to bring our men in for snow removal or for hurricanes, things of that nature, high wind events. We get a email every morning telling us exactly what's happening of the day and what's happening for the week. And then there's an app associated with it where you can go on and look at a moment's notice. So not only is it computer based, but there's an app on the phone. And so Highway Department, Parks Department, transfer station, the wastewater treatment facility, and then we supply the information to not the Board of Ed and emergency services. So last year they were $10,836. This year they're $10,785.60. Like I said, we've been working with them for a number of years. They one call out saves us pretty much the amount of money in the end. If it saves us one call out for our individuals, it almost starts to pay for itself. And the monies are available in our operating budget. We had budgeted $11,000 for the work. It's just slightly under.
How long have you used this service? You said number of years, right?
John, do you remember?
Over 25 years.
Thank you.
Just find it like it's part of your base, what you need to do your work. Yeah, okay.
Logan Airport, Shea Stadium, Gillette
Newtown and New
Stadium.
Canaan, you're right there. Yeah,
Yeah, so if you look at.
you're with the big guys.
We're with the big guys.
So will Brian make a determination on school based on information he's getting from here, or does he?
He has his own service, but then we compare. So he has a service that a lot of the Board of Eds use, and then we compare data. So we'll send out ours and then give it to him, and then he has both looks.
And he has like 25 other towns that they sit and talk.
Exactly.
Are we paying a service through them
Double
too?
it. Oh, I see. Double dipping.
They have their own service that we've asked for them to import to us. They say that they're happy with theirs. We're very happy with ours. We did ask them to come to us.
Come on, can't you use one, especially if he's got 25 other people to talk to?
Well, I guess we don't have
Just
to work
saying.
toward that.
Okay, so now that I know about it, we can talk
You can
about
ask
it.
about it, yep.
Okay. All right, so for one more year, we'll do
Yep.
this and then we'll talk about it. If I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to continue an agreement with the Weather Century DTN in the amount of $10,785.60 for FY '25 in order to provide weather services.
So moved.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I was so curious
I
about this.
already have, so Ann can come up. We may need to modify this,
I'll stay, yeah.
this,
You want-
the amount that we're transferring, because there
no,
was it's this weekend.
Good morning. So we're looking to move some unassigned items or items that need to be reassigned, should I say, back to the general fund as reimbursement for revenue for projects that we don't feel are going to get done in the time frame that we need to. So we have to assign everything by December of '24, has to be spent by December of '26. So we need to make sure that whatever we're assigning by December of this year will get done. So we have some projects that we don't think are going to get done. So we're going to take it back as reimbursement for lost revenues in the general fund, which is allowable. The only thing we put $1 million on there right now. The only thing we just need to clarify, and that's what I just need to clarify with Tiger, is that in our authorization for Dunning Stadium, we had $250,000 in the authorization to use ARPA funds. So I just need to make sure that that amount is still going to be used. So
For which purpose?
Dunning Stadium, there was a donation, there was bonding, and there was also some ARPA funds towards it. So instead of the $1 million in front of you right now, we'd be looking right now to reassign back to the general fund $752,629 spot 34.
Oh, is that because of the Waveney Park outdoor bathrooms? Is that?
It's not the
No.
bathrooms, nope. It's it was so the Dunning Stadium was a $4 million project. It was going to be 1.7 from 1.750 from bonding. 250,000 from ARPA and 2 million from the Athletic Foundation.
But I don't see it on here on this list. That's why
Right,
I'm
that's why
confused.
that's what I need to make sure. Did it go further? Because it was put into the authorization. Did it go through all the assignments? So when we authorized the project back in May, in the authorization, it was said at that point, we were going to use 250,000 of ARPA funds, but I don't think it went any further to go in front of this board and the other two boards to assign it. So I just,
But why would that alter what we're pulling? Because these have been assigned. So to me, that's a totally.
it was never
separate-
assigned at all in the whole grouping.
Say that
So
again?
out of the $5.9 million that we got, the 250,000 for the Dunning Stadium was never assigned.
So, but Ann, I think what we're missing, like, that's separate from this list that we're looking for.
Yeah, because
It's not-
these are very
There's
specific.
no line item here for Dunning.
Right, we need to put it in. That's
it.
But
what
that would be, to me, I still am confused because to me, that would either,
Increase
it would increase it. That's why I'm like, to me, that would just increase the amount that you want to sweep back. If it's not in here at all, to me, you're still.
Did we
sweeping
double
this.
commit? Did we
No,
double
it's not
commit?
in- It's not in another, it's not in the general fund. The reason if we assign the 250, the 250 is going to stay in this fund, in the ARPA fund, which means the amount we're sweeping out,
Right.
250 needs to be held back because it hasn't been assigned anywhere.
I still don't,
I
no,
don't follow.
I don't follow it at all.
Because what we have,
Yeah,
we
these are
have,
very
we have
specifically
these very
assigned.
specific line items that ARPA was assigned to, okay?
Right.
So are you saying that we said we would assign it to Dunning, but never did?
Exactly.
So did we then overcommit on the ARPA? Because we swept in ARPA money for the last budget.
Yes, right, 700,000.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so
250 should have come from that 747.
there's the
That's what I'm,
difference.
yes.
Okay.
So
Yes.
I'd rather not give this addition, do the 1 million, just do the 700 until we make sure that for the Dunning project, that ARPA funds are still being used.
Okay,
If they're not, then we just come back at the next one and say
Okay.
250 needs to get swept.
okay,
I just want to make it, yes, yes.
okay, that's fair.
So this stuff, it's a little confusing, how we will deal with if we sweep it back in. Now, mind you, I was a fan of sweeping a lot of it in, but we
Mhm.
decided not to, because that gives us all the flexibility we want
Right.
to use the money. We can
Right.
still do for that, but without the
And I've told
restrictions
all
on
the
time-wise.
groups
Yeah,
that are part of this, that, they just won't be ready for prime time in time. That, we have this list. We know what we committed previously. They'll still have to go through all three boards because they have to get reassigned. But that we have a running tally of what we've committed and what we said we would do. So at
okay,
least-
but so I think what's really important on this, okay, if this stuff is committed and we still
Mhm.
want to get it done,
Mhm.
we can't all of a sudden look at that as, oh, the general fund's up
Right.
by $1 million.
We can't, we have to take it out and segregate it so it's
We
not touched.
segregate it?
Yes.
So
We
we'll
have
have
to
a segregated, funds that we've committed through ARPA, or however you want to name it. Because I can see going into budget, people go, oh, wow, we have another $1 million, but we don't because we've committed it. And we don't have we have it, but we have it already spoken for. That to me is
Yeah,
important.
we would assign it and there would be two ways. We'd either sweep it out into a special projects fund so it doesn't run out, or we do a budget appropriation in a future year, if that's what we're doing, whether this year or next year, to get
Yeah.
access to.
Just make sure people don't think this is just,
No,
Woo,
I'll have
okay.
it assigned. I'll put it in assignment that it
Okay.
can't be touched or used.
Any-
Tiger just mentioned that the Dunning part of it won't have it done by December 26th.
Pretty close. Yeah.
So which means they won't be able to use that 250.
Okay, so.
So it would keep that number whole.
It would keep the $1 million hole. Yep. I just wanted to make sure because
Okay.
it came up last minute.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because
so-
26 is right around the corner as far as that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these,
I-
things that
Yeah,
rely
just
on the
say- To be
state,
safe, I would rather just take it back.
it's
and-
gonna be setting there for them if they need it. It will be there. It's not like it's going away. And that's what I wanted people to, and the fact that Anne is segregating and making it very clear what those monies are for. I would rather not
Yeah.
lose it. My thing is, I'd rather just take it in, and it's quite frankly easier on the back end for everyone.
It's
If
so much
in the
cleaner.
general fund,
So
and
much
then they
cleaner.
just spend it. Because the paperwork associated with ARPA is a nightmare. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. Okay, any other questions? All right, so if not, if I could get a motion to approve the recommendation for the appropriation of the remaining ARPA funds in the amount of $1,02,629.34 to the general fund.
So moved.
So moved, or second. However, we are specifically segregating that within the general fund. Okay.
It's not a budgeted item, so it'll become, we can commit it if we want, we can commit it in the fund balance at the end of, if it's not used by the end of this fiscal year, it becomes a commitment in the fund balance, or we transfer it out to another fund where.
So it will not look like unassigned funds. It'll be assigned funds.
We'll commit it or put it as.
So we have a
assigned.
special line, ARPA committed.
Finance and have them assign it. I think that's the governing body that assigns it, and we can have them assign it.
Yeah,
so it
have them
can't
do
be
that.
touched. Yep.
Because if we committed to fund the stuff, let's keep it
And this
there.
is the final tranche of ARPA. Are we finished now or?
The revenue, and this is the final piece to assign everything.
Great.
We're doing it in November instead of December, so that we
Yes.
are way ahead of the deadline.
So of the approximately 6 million we got from, or approximately 6 million, are we at like 1.75 million that we ended up going back to the general fund
by any
for
chance
certain
my email?
purposes? Right? We did 750 to million, million 750. So
Oh, he has it.
it's about a quarter.
What we've spent to date? Is that what you?
No,
Oh.
just how much we ended up actually putting in the general funds, about 1,750,000
Yes.
with it being assigned. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thanks. So about a third.
A lot of great projects on ARPA. A lot. We had a lot done for $6 million.
Mhm.
And I would say in the town side, what we did is we kept it on, unless we knew it was specifically for pay or something, we kept it on capital stuff. We didn't set us up for an operating deficit.
Thanks, Ann.
All right. So you should have both received some resumes for, so there was a resignation on the Board of Finance. We're very sad to see Tom Schulte have to resign. We're hoping he, at some point when his work life slows down a little bit, he may be able to recommit to some town projects. But so since the resignation, I am recommending that James Dow, who is currently an alternate member, become a regular member for a 4-year term ending November 15th. I guess we'll start with that vote first. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
It's unanimous. And
Yeah,
then,
James has done a great job. I mean, he's been, I think he's been to every meeting. He's always there. He's very, and he participates a lot too. So it should be a great addition.
and then to fill the alternate position being vacated by James Yao, I am recommending Steve Doka as an alternate member for a 2-year term ending December 1st, 2025, which would have been James's.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we all got to look at this resume and it is unbelievable, his credentials, and we're
Very fortunate.
the amount of talent. We've said this before,
Yes.
but it bears saying again, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
The people in this town are
Yeah.
very, very impressive.
He'll be, I think, very additive, and he has his line of work will make him have, I don't want to say skeptical eye, but he knows what to look for, in terms of, and again, another great person raising their hand.
Yeah. And somebody new, totally, I never knew this person.
Yeah, no, we had a
before.
long
It's-
conversation. It was good.
Yeah, it's nice to see some new energy coming into town. So that's great. So if I could get a motion to approve Steve Doka as an alternate member for a 2-year term ending December 1st, 2025.
So moved.
It's unanimous. And then
And Doka's the proper pronunciation, right? I want to say Daka for some reason, but it's Doka.
I think it's Joka.
Doka.
Okay. I just want to make sure because,
Steve,
we'll be.
Tell us if we're wrong. Okay.
Yeah, because I want
Okay.
to make sure
Well,
we're referring
yes,
to it correctly.
exactly.
You're
Um,
probably right. I'm the one that butchers names.
Okay. And then for constable, there was a vacancy created when Nick Matraxis, who was the constable, moved to the Board of Finance, and I am recommending Kristen Matraxis for a 2-year term ending 11/4/2025.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
Let's get a family affair here.
I
That's good.
know,
It's
I
good.
know, it's great. All right, and then Cheryl and Jimmy. Jane. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit right there.
My gosh, do we have enough seats up there?
All right. go
All right,
ahead.
the Department of Public Works and Human Resources recently advertised hiring for position equipment operator 2 for the Highway Department due to a recent retirement. We received 35 applications and resumes resumes were received, and 8 individuals were selected for interviews, 4 of which accepted. It was unanimous decision of the hiring committee to recommend the hiring of Anthony Malazzi for the position. Anthony holds a Connecticut CDL license and has extensive experience in construction field and the operation of various pieces of equipment. He is a 1998 New Canaan High School graduate and a current resident, and his references presented of Anthony as a hardworking, conscientious family man. Therefore, we recommend the hiring of Anthony Malazzi as equipment operator 2 in the Highway Department.
Any questions?
Yep, I'm sure you met with him and you think he's the right guy.
All right.
Good. Did a
Very,
background check.
very pleased. I love that.
Yeah, so if there are no questions, if I could get a motion to approve Anthony Malazzi as equipment operator 2 for the Highway Department.
So moved.
Second.
It's
Thank you.
unanimous. Okay, and
Thank you.
then
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we had an opening in the Parks Department for a superintendent, and we would like to recommend Ryan Restivo. He has been with us since 2021 as assistant superintendent, doing a magnificent job. Both the in-house and other residents are very happy with the work he's done, and we would like to see him move into full-time superintendent.
Great.
questions? I just want to say, I
It's
love
terrific.
the positive energy that emanates from you. So please, it shows in, everything you do. So, I really appreciate it. I love to have that kind of energy around. So thank you.
This is a great addition to the Parks Department. He'll do a great job as superintendent. So we're really happy.
Yeah, bonus for us. It's great.
Yeah. All
And
right.
you're wearing
Thank
the
you, Ryan.
swag, so that's good.
thanks for
John, just saying.
All right. So if there are no further questions, if I could get a motion to promote Ryan Restivo to Superintendent of Parks.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm grateful for this opportunity, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, Cheryl.
Okay, this is our annual contract for retirees 65 and older. We have worked with Amwins now for 5 years. Basically, we have 62 retirees. Right now, the cost is running us a little over $20,000 per month. And so we have increased the amount to $250,000. Last year was $240,000. I believe you have a copy of the Amwins contract, which shows you the benefits. They used to be on Anthem, and we have saved a considerable amount of money moving them over to a Medicare supplement plan. Any questions?
Are the Medicare supplement plans good for the employees? Everything I've heard is that you don't want to do this.
Right. It depends on the supplement plan. This is a very rich plan that most municipalities have purchased, and that's how our broker had found it. So
And they're,
we do have many retirees who are very, very happy with the
Okay,
plan
that-
because
that's
it does have a prescription part and a vision part, which a lot of the plans do not have.
Remind us how many people are under that plan? How many?
62.
62.
And that does cover some significant others, which they do pay a full price for that for their spouses.
so are these retirees who are under old pension where it's the full pension versus or is it
Depends
just?
It depends on the contract, but
Mhm.
everybody that is on this plan is on a pension plan.
Okay. So as people retire through now, so we now have, you don't really have a old fashioned pension plan for most new employees, except for police and fire, right?
There are individuals not in a pension plan who would retire onto this, but the cost is higher than some of the older employees have been paying.
Right. So as we move through this new world of people on their own for their 403 pension plan,
Correct.
what will be the town obligation or commitment for people on the medical, for people who weren't under us?
Again, it
old-fashioned retirement?
depends on the contract. So we have police, fire, town hall, and public works contracts. So depending on when they go out, it talks about the cost that they will pay.
Okay.
So some individuals are paying excess of 22%, where others years ago were paying 0.
Right.
So there's a big distinction between the two.
Okay.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
All right. If not, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Human Resources Director to renew the annual contract with AmWins Group to provide 2025 group retiree medical and prescription drug program at a cost of approximately $250,000.
So moved.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Tiger, tree warden.
All right, thank you. So the tree warden went out for his latest bid for October 2023. October 23, 2024. We received 4 bids, as you can tell, very tight, specifically on number 1 and number 2. Mill River was the low at $17,691. Hutchinson Tree came in second at $17,950. So we're talking about $300 difference between the two. It's for 9 separate locations in town. The only ones of note, some work at the center school lot, removing the 3 purple leaf plums that are in decline and the 5 Austrian pines. There's a plan with the New Canaan Beautification League to replant the Center Bell area and this area. And then just 1 removal in Bristow for a dead ash that's kind of leaning over a residence property. So we need to remove that. Other than that, nothing. Mill River's done some nice work for us in the past, and we have the monies available in our tree service budget. We would like to award the contract.
Tyler, if I could just ask, the prices, obviously depends on the tree. And for some of these, it's seems like a great deal because you're getting the stump grinded as well. But the Conrad Road is almost $4,000 to remove a dead white pine. Is there something?
It's a very big tree.
Very big, okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it's access,
Yeah,
the
how you
stump
get to it.
grinding not necessarily adds much of a cost to it, to be quite honest. It's not thousands of dollars for stump grinding. It's actually hundreds of dollars for stump grinding.
Okay.
It just happens to be access to it and the size of the tree. Its condition, whether it can be climbed or not, things of that nature that actually drives that cost.
Power lines too have a lot to do.
Right, power lines as well.
It's just that's like a big chunk of
Right,
the
yeah,
one tree.
it's- yeah.
But again,
this-
I know they're
In
different.
this case, $3,920 for that 1 tree.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only problem. This came in as a complaint that we had
Oh,
seen
it
it.
did, okay.
Yeah, that it was and it was very much in decline, needs to be removed.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
All right. If there are no further questions, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the tree warden to enter into a contract with Mill River Tree Service in the amount of $17,691. The project entails the removal, pruning, and stump removal of various trees in town.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
Thank
Okay. And then you have contracts under $10,000. Take a look. And that's good. All right. And then the tax overpayments. People getting rid of cars. Hopefully buying more expensive cars.
Yeah.
Wouldn't come on.
All right, if I could get a motion to approve refunds or tax overpayments.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. All right, and selectmen comments. I would just say, the reason we have a Monday meeting this week is that tomorrow is election day, and I
No
encourage.
kidding, I had no idea.
I encourage everyone to exercise their right to vote if you haven't already done so, and I hope we can be a model for how to disagree and not do it disagreeably. So. that would
Also,
be-
a shout out to the election
Yes.
efforts.
Oh.
The early voting has been off the chart. So
Yeah.
everybody who stayed late and worked at keeping orderly downstairs here. I mean, what a job. It's been a lot of work, and they're not done. They're just beginning. So
Yeah, and I would say that the early voting, I felt it was so well run, so comfortable that I wasn't messing something up as I was doing my early voting. I mean, it was really a very well run process. So thank you.
yeah, and at times there was a line downstairs. It was they were
Most
very, very
days.
busy.
Every day,
Yeah.
most days.
Couple shout outs though, Halloween safety, the police or everybody, the EMT, they did a great job on South Avenue. The construction was still there, the fencing was up, but they were able to move some of the cones out and keep everybody safe. There was a lot of people out on because of the weather on Halloween. I mean, there was a lot of kids on South Avenue. So setting all that up smart, the lights were out, everybody was safe. So thank you for doing that. And then recently, the donation to caffeine and carburetors. Over the years, caffeine and carburetors has come under some fire about, using town facilities, parks and stuff, and, just coming and going. But with their recent change, the way they're raising money for the Conservancy and for the Community Foundation, I mean, it's really changed the way I think our residents are looking at these bigger events. So, you can put up with a little bit of the disturbance, knowing that it's all for a good cause. So I think Doug and Peter and company, they've done a great job. So just want to give them a shout out. And lastly, hopefully Wednesday morning, New Canaan will be free of all signs, like all signs, not just political signs. There are more signs up
Yes,
for all kinds of
so
stuff. We look like we're for sale. I mean, it's bad. So if the town guys are out there, I mean, if you see signs for schools and all these other crazy things that are out there, painting Christmas lights, you
Yes.
name it.
All those Christmas light signs
Okay,
need to go.
bring 'em all
And
down.
if they aren't taken by you, they'll be taken by us.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it's and political signs too. I mean, hopefully we'll move those out too, put that behind us. So anyway, that was it.
And residents should realize you're not supposed to be putting signs out for contractors.
Right.
You're not supposed to be doing it. Certainly your contractor probably has a truck that says their name on it. But I agree with you, Steve. I was driving up South Avenue. I'm like, I felt like the whole town was for sale. And it beyond the fact they're so wasteful for the environment. I mean, they're just like they're used and thrown out and it's bad. So, okay.
Take the signs down and put up the holiday decorations.
There
Those
we
look
go.
nice.
There we go. All right. So if I could get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.